Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the. This is Politics Before You Can Drink. This is just the YouTube channel, not the podcast. Uh, and today we are going to react to Mr. Beats' proposed constitutional amendments. This is the top 10 things he wants added to the U.S. Constitution. Should be fairly simple.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna react to this, and we are going to link his YouTube channel because he's not a conservative. So we're gonna link him in the YouTube description. And yeah, all right, here we go.
10 proposed constitutional
Can you hear it?
amendments. Think of it as
Yeah.
my
Alright.
amendment wish list. I've been thinking about this for a while, but that doesn't mean this list is any good. It's basically me just having fun. Number 10, the right of citizens of the United States who are 16 years of age or older to vote
Yes.
shall not be denied
Yes,
or
definitely.
abridged by the United States
Yeah.
or by any state on account of age.
Kids are like a way lot smarter than Republicans think they are. Like they know what they're doing.
Yes, 100%. This is a thing that needs to happen. And if the
Yeah.
Democratic Party shared two brain cells between them, they would be pushing this so hard.
Yeah.
Like, because the people under the age of 25 vote Gen Z just in general votes Democrat like a seriously disproportionate amount compared to any previous generation. Like I think in 2022 it was like a 75-25 split. Like
Yeah.
it's they would gain so many voters from doing this, and if they had if they get like a super majority where they have most of the states, most of Congress, and all like majority of Congress and the presidency, they should get this done because it would like change the game completely. This is something that 100% needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yep, you know it. I want to lower the voting age to 16. 16 and 17-year-olds often work and pay federal income taxes. And they're also legally allowed to drive and can be tried as adults if they commit crimes. Plus, there are plenty of 16 and 17-year-olds who know much more about government and politics than those 18 and older. In fact, I'd argue that the 16 and 17-year-olds of today are smarter than at any other time in American history. Let them have a say. And if you think 16 is too young for the
what they're
vote,
trying to ban.
what makes 18 old enough, huh? Number 9, Congress cannot make any laws that apply to American citizens that don't apply equally to themselves, and vice versa.
That's interesting. I don't know what he not really sure what he means by that, but
this seems like
sounds
common
good.
sense, and you're likely surprised right now to hear that it's already not part of the Constitution. Well, it's not. One example of this is that
Congress not have the same have to follow the same rules as the citizens.
Well, I don't know what he means by that because I mean generally they do. Like
Until 1984, members of Congress didn't have to pay Social Security taxes. The next one is an actual
interesting. But I guess like like what if he makes if they make a law that's specifically about I don't know disabled people.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they give them like a specific upper hand. Does that mean that those laws would apply to members of Congress that aren't disabled? I mean, I think there needs to be there needs to be a little bit more clarity with that because I'm not really sure how they would enforce that. I mean, it sounds good on paper, but
yeah, definitely in theory though.
Yeah.
Proposed amendments almost ratified in the 1970s, known as the Equal Rights Amendments, or ERA, and I'm just going to read it word for word here. Number 8, Section 1, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provision.
This is basically a amendment to try and take down the the income gap between men and women.
Oh.
A good idea, but it's also, how exactly do you enforce that? It's
Yeah. Like you don't really know if your boss is discriminating. You can't there's no evidence.
Like how do you compare two jobs in different companies? It's a
Oh yeah.
of this article. Section 3, this amendment shall take effect 2 years after the date of ratification. A big reason why it didn't pass is because folks worried that women would lose special privileges, like not getting drafted to fight in a war. But I say those special privileges be expanded to everyone, dadgummit. Is the ERA really needed when laws and the courts have mostly done a good job fighting for women's rights? I say yes, because just because you don't see discrimination against women now doesn't mean you won't see it in the future. Oh, and one more thing. You do see discrimination against women now. A lot of times it's just more under the radar. And look, more rights for women doesn't mean less rights for men. And here's another actual proposed amendment, nicknamed the Saving Democracy Amendment, that I'm also just going to read word for word here. Number 7, Section 1, the rights protected by the Constitution of the United States are the rights of natural persons and do not extend to for-profit corporations, limited liability companies, or other private entities established for business purposes or to promote business interests under the laws of any state, the United States, or any foreign state. Section 2.
Yeah, basically this is just a constitutional amendment that is an overturning of the Citizens United Supreme Court decision. Just basically, the idea of this is they can't, they're not protected by free speech. They're not, and they have to, they have to be held to different standards because corporations are not people, and they should not be allowed to donate to political campaigns.
2, such corporate and other private entities established under law are subject to regulation by the people through the legislative process, so long as such regulations are consistent with the powers of Congress and the states and do not limit the freedom of the press. Section 3, such corporate and other private entities shall be prohibited from making contributions or expenditures in any election of any candidate for public office or the vote upon any ballot measure submitted to the people. And Section 4, Congress and the states shall have the power to regulate and set limits on all election contributions and expenditures, including a candidate's own spending, and to authorize the establishment of political committees to receive, spend, and publicly disclose the sources of those contributions and expenditures. This is essentially a response to the Citizens United v. FEC Supreme Court decision, which reaffirmed corporate personhood and made it easier for organizations to spend lots and lots of money on political campaigns. Well, as one of my YouTube viewers wrote, quote, if corporations are people, then they should be able to receive the death penalty. Oh, snap. I agree. Corporations have way too much power over elections in this country. For my 6th favorite proposed amendment, I put it in multiples of 6s. Number 6, term limits for Congress and the Supreme Court. U.S. representatives can't serve more than 12 years, U.S. senators can't serve more than 18 years, and Supreme Court justices can't serve more than 24 years.
Basically, what I was trying to say is that we should take the power of the Supreme Court justices being nominated, we should take that from the president and have it be elected officials. Because they have, they've just got so much power at this point. It's craziness.
Yeah.
All right.
Years. U.S. representatives also serve 4-year terms, with election years being the non-president
serving 4-year terms instead of 2 years. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're just always running for re-election.
This opposed to 2, so that they're not constantly running for re-election and could actually focus on, I don't know, legislation. Look, I get that term limits are not perfect, and more term limits actually might cause lobbyists to have even more power and influence in DC. However, I think most of us are just tired of career politicians, and this is the best way to fight that. Number 5, amendments become part of the Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 2/3 of the states or by conventions in 2/3 thereof. So basically, this is just making it easier to amend the Constitution. It'd still be 2/3 of Congress or state conventions to propose amendments, but I want to change it from 3/4 to 2/3 of the state legislatures to be required to ratify them. Currently, that means just 33 states instead of 38. As I explained at the beginning of the video, it's currently really difficult to change the Constitution, which makes no sense as the world is quickly changing. Number 4.
Yeah.
The Electoral College will no longer pick the president.
Yes.
American citizens will directly elect the president.
Why hasn't it been like that?
Yes, I mean that is literally, it's a relic from like the slave era. It's like that's what it's from. It's just to give, it was supposed to give slave states like an extra boost because they were scared they were going to get voted out. I mean, it's long overdue for us to get rid of that. Okay.
Level, there could be additional reforms like implementing ranked choice voting, approval voting, or score voting. I'm still for federalism here. Let the states still run their own elections. However, count every vote. One person, one vote. And if you think I'm naive about the importance of the Electoral College, you are sadly mistaken. Check out my video here where I take down the antiquated Electoral College. My top 3 proposed amendments collectively think.
Wait, what is the purpose of the Electoral College?
It's just dumb. It takes the, it basically, the state legislatures get to decide who's the president instead of the people. That's ridiculous.
What? Okay, I think I got it.
Yeah. Think of them as a compromise because
so what's the point of us voting?
Well, because it's supposed to be like the state it's supposed to be they get like the state legislatures vote for whoever got the majority in their state. But there's also, depending on what way you do it, you can technically get 20% of the popular vote and win the Electoral College. If we're abiding under the system of 51%, you win the whole state.
Yeah.
Together quite well, if I don't mind saying so myself, which I just did. Number 3, the 17th article of amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. Yep, get rid of the direct.
That's a terrible idea.
Wait, what?
The 17th Amendment is what made it that senators are directly elected by the people.
Is that not contradiction?
Yeah, what? That's a really stupid idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they should be directly elected by the people. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The election of U.S. senators and return the power of appointing senators to state legislatures. Now hold up, hear me out. There is little evidence that proves that the 17th Amendment did anything to reduce corruption in both the U.S. Senate and in U.S. Senate elections. Plus, this is an appeal to conservatives who want to revive constitutional federalism and limit the power of the federal government because guess what comes next? Number 2, the U.S. House of Representatives will have 930 members.
Is a good idea.
Congress may increase the House.
It's basically just to double it because there's a lot of people are represented by every representative.
Yeah.
Membership after every U.S. census to account for population growth. Currently, the number is 435, so this would more than double the current size of the House, and of course would also make it so that there would be 1,033 electoral votes, assuming the Electoral College still existed. I know this sounds radical, but you just gotta remember that when the Republic first started, each member of the House only represented 30,000 citizens. Today, each House member represents an average of 747,000 citizens. How can one person truly represent that many freaking people? I mean, we've had the same number of representatives since the 1920s. Since then, the country has grown by 208 million people. Now, if Congress just wanted to pass a law to make this happen, they could. The Constitution does not have to be amended to make this happen. However, I think it is important enough that it needs to be added to the Constitution. Oh, and you might be wondering where I'm getting that 930 number? I just pulled it out of thin air.
Oh.
Just kidding. I got it from an article, this article here by Chris Wilson. It's really good. I've linked it in the description of this video. In the article, Wilson uses math to limit disparity in representation using a basic standard deviation. I kind of know what that means, but the bottom line is 930 ends up being the magic number to make sure that each representative is representing around the same amount of people. One big bonus for increasing the representatives in the House is that it would make gerrymandering more difficult.
Yes.
Speaking of which, number 1,
gerrymandering.
The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of political belief.
Basically what this is gerrymandering is them just redrawing the lines to group people that vote one way together.
Wait, what?
It's basically like, so if you've got like a city or like just like a small subsection that tends to vote Republican, what they do is they draw the line to have that subsection be its own district, so they can get it's to bump up the numbers in the House of Representatives. It's ridiculousness.
Yeah.
I know that probably sounds familiar since it's basically the 15th Amendment, but replacing the words race, color, or previous condition of servitude with political beliefs. Since the Supreme Court has already set precedents on racial gerrymandering, but pretty much said, no, we can't do anything about political gerrymandering, I feel this amendment is the best way we can actually fight to make elections more truly representative. So there you have it, my wish list.
All right. Well, that was interesting.
Yeah.
And that'll be it.